Always love seeing, and I haven't seen it in a long time. Doug Aldrich, welcome to that Jamieson show. I appreciate it, man.
Don, pleasure. Thanks for having me, bro. It was last time I saw you was on that boat last year.
The Monsters of Rock cruise, yeah. Well, they're doing it. They're doing it on land this year. We're cruising on land in May down in Punta Cana, I think. So hopefully we're all safe and inoculated and maybe a little past this big wave of COVID that we're seeing, and let's get these musicians working again.
Yeah, man, that sounds like a fun party to be at. That sounds great. I think by May, you never know, but I think that we should be looking a lot better than we are now, at least.
Yeah. So let's jump in with the Dead Daisies, man. This is seismic. This is earth-shattering. For the people who don't know, John Corabi and Marco Mendoza out. Glenn Hughes in, one replaces two. Those guys are certainly monsters in their own right, of course, but you bring in the voice of rock, the Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, Glenn Hughes. That's a huge commitment, man. How does this all come down? I know you have history with Glenn, so... Glenn, first of all, everything's amicable always with the Dead Daisies. People are coming and going. It's actually not too dissimilar from early Deep Purple. So now you would say that the Dead Daisies is Mark IV, for example, or something like that. But and we got a member of Deep Purple in the band. Yeah,
it's interesting. But no, John and Marco they're both dear friends of ours, and especially for me. I've known John since we were in high school. I think he made me my first fake ID to get into the Jersey bar. Philadelphia. But those guys are both doing solo projects, and John especially wanted to kind of step away and work on that. He had done the Motley Live record, and
yep.
Marco had Viva La Rock that he was promoting, and Marco's an amazing singer in his own right. He's the guy's larger than life. He's just like, he's got the best energy of anybody out there. He's just awesome. So when those guys stepped away, management started thinking about what to do, and we don't want to make a linear kind of change. So we went with a super angular one and started talking with Glenn. And Glenn, prior to my knowledge, he had been talking to management and said, "Yeah, I know I've worked with Doug, and we get on great. We've been friends for years." And they told me about it and said, "What do you think?" And I was like, "That would be freaking amazing. That's like perfect, to do something really fresh." So it's like a real fresh start to the band, just like Deep Purple when Gillan left and Coverdale and Glenn came in. And so they said, "Well, call Glenn. He wants to talk to you." And I go, "Glenn, is this for serious? Is this for real?" And he's like, "Doug, it's time for you and I to make some music. We've talked about it for a long time. Now it's time." So me and Glenn go way back.
You played with him, right?
I played with him. We went on a tour together. So that's a big part of it, Don. As you know, is the hang factor together with your people that you travel with. If you got to know that it's going to work, I think that took away a little bit of the question for Glenn. He's like, he already knew me and we get on great. And especially some of the best jams I ever had was with Glenn on stage. We didn't play in the States, but we went to South America and Europe. And it's like his voice, as you know, he's the voice of rock. He's one of the greatest of all time, but his bass playing is ferocious too.
Yeah.
We'd start off on certain songs and kind of just go off in a tangent, and he'd play something, I'd play something. Then it would be like, get to a solo, I'd start soloing, and then he'd start railing, and it'd be like, whoa, that's badass. So I'd kind of back up and hold a note, it was just a blast. So this is what's on the record. He's like playing his ass off on this record.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, man, because obviously you also played in Whitesnake. So you've played with two Rock and Roll Hall of Fame singers and two guys who were both in Deep Purple. Put those guys head to head, David Coverdale, Glenn Hughes. Let's compare and contrast.
Those guys they're the unrighteous brothers is what they call themselves. They're super close. They're it's like weird. It's apples and oranges, but they're both amazing. I mean, and don't forget Ronnie. I've worked with Ronnie, who's working with Blackmore as well. But I would say, David he's for me, for a straight up frontman, he's the best in my book. You know, I mean, I know you got guys, Steven Tyler's amazing, you know, all these guys like that. But David has a thing, man, it just cuts right to my heart. I love what he's done. I was a fan of his before I worked with him, and then I was so happy to be a part of the continuation of the band, or the restart of the band, and they're still kicking ass, you know, right now.
Yeah.
But then Glenn's a whole different, you know, he's a player and a singer, so he's got a different perspective for me that way. But he is just an amazing vocalist. You know, he's got these acrobatic chops that he can do when he wants to. It's like this, kind of like having a secret weapon that when he wants to, he can go off. And this album, I think, this Holy Ground album, he kind of like, I think he went a little bit in a new direction. He kind of like held back a little bit in certain spots. So they're both great. If you're going for the deep and heavy blues thing, David's the guy. If you're going for the melodic heavy thing, Glenn's the guy. Glenn's also a riff master. He's got some cool riffs up his sleeve.
So yeah, and like the album by the way is fantastic, beginning to end. It's just a killer. And obviously you the whole band are songwriters. But for you as a guitar player, Doug, with Glenn coming into the band, did you have to adjust musically in any way, or to just sort of stick to what you've been doing?
Well, I mean, I basically do what I do according to the song, you know, like if, you know, depending on what the song is. I kind of also, this is less of a guitar extravaganza album, as it's more of a vibe, you know. We were going for more of a vibe, and so whatever fit the vibe. But I knew one thing, Glenn's bass sound, like I was telling you, it should have its own, it's like its own country. It's just massive, you know. And so I was kind of open to like, let's capture that and see where the guitars fit in around that bass sound, or with the bass sound. So together, so sonically, yeah, I think we had a killer producer, a guy called Ben Gross, who he was in charge of, you know, the sonic stuff. But basically, you know, it comes from your fingers anyways. Yep. You do what you do, and then they mix it, you know. But Ben Gross had set up a perfect environment for us. We went to the south of France in the end of 19, and we holed up in this like amazing chateau, not chalet. And we were really focused and just kind of stayed inside. That we lived at the place where we basically have all our meals there and sleep there. Yeah. And then we just, after breakfast, roll in and start jamming. And he really set it up for us to get comfortable playing together, and it was perfect. And I think when people hear the album, they'll hear like the songs really flow nicely together, you know, as opposed to just, you know, here's a song from Glenn, here's a song from Doug, here's another. It's like that we all really put our best into it, and then with management and with Ben Gross, you know, producing, we picked the songs and the running order, and it flows really nicely.
It flows like a fine French Beaujolais, right?
Yeah, we had some decent vino over there, man. They got some grapes in France still.
Oh hell yeah, they do, man. And you know, with Dean Castronovo in the band playing drums, you always have two great voices in the band, because Dean's a great singer as well.
Dean's an amazing singer. Dean's like another one of these guys that's a double threat. You know, he's brilliant as a drummer, and he's equally brilliant as a singer. And I didn't realize how great of a singer he was until Journey and Whitesnake did some gigs together, and that's when I met him, and we got to be friends. I met him right back in like 2003, but we didn't actually start knowing each other for about another, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. And we hit it off. On the road, he would like, you know, he'd be like, let's get together. We'll get tattoos together or whatever, you know. And he's super, really sweetheart of a guy. And then I started hearing him sing. I'm like, damn, he sounds like Steve Perry.
Yeah.
Then later, he was going to do a solo album, and I ended up playing on it with Jack Blades, and the label decided to call it, like, make it a band thing, even though it was Dean's thing. And
Revolution Saints, right?
Yeah, and Dean sang lead vocals on that, and it was just incredible. He's got a killer voice.
Yeah, he sang. I know he sang for Journey a couple of times when they were going through those phases of different singers coming in before they got Arnell. There was a couple shows I think Dean actually sang, and yeah, you're right, man. He's got killer pipes. He can pull the Steve Perry stuff off. So yeah, it's just one assassin after another in the Dead Daisies. Of course, the new version and the new record, Holy Ground, out January 22nd, which is on Friday. What do you say to the old fans who say, Corabi and all that, this is a different vocal style. It's a bit of a, like you said, a fresh start. What do you tell the old fans?
I hope you dig it. And, we totally love John and Marco. We support them. Who knows? We might all go on the road together when the time is right. But I mean, the bottom line is that totally wish those guys well, and they do well. But Glenn came in, and he definitely brought a fresh vibe to it. When Glenn was going to come in, I started to think he said to me, he goes, "Hey Doug, I got a couple of songs that I want to bring I've already got written with the band in mind." And I thought, okay, cool. And I'll start, going through things with Glenn in mind. And there were certain songs that I knew Glenn would like, because they kind of went for a groove that I knew he'd be into. And then I, thought about a few other aspects that Glenn likes, and kind of those incorporated into the songs. And then, when we all put our stamp on it, it becomes a Daisies thing. But it's still, as Glenn being a lead singer, it's going to have a big influence of Glenn, which is cool. So I hope that the Daisies, the existing Daisies fans will give it a listen, check it out. Hopefully they'll like it, and I can't wait to play it live for those people as well.
Yeah, no, you definitely has not lost the vibe of that. It's a band. So for, you don't want people obviously to think like, oh, okay, they're going to need some time to gel. The gelling's already done. It's
yeah, we did we marinated for that time, a couple of months in south of France, and that was cool. And the only person I could hang with was Glenn, really. So we actually already started doing some more writing and a little bit of work together. But he did an amazing job on the record. Everybody did. Dean, Ben Gross is a drummer, so Dean got a good, he had a guy in his corner making sure the drums were sounding right. And David Lowy and I just did our guitars and knocked it out, and it was turned out fun,
Yeah, and I know there's some tour dates set up for, I guess, towards the end of this year, the Get Out of the House Tour 2021.
Well, we did, but we had to push those back till next year. That was actually starting in like next month. We were going to start in Germany and do like 6 weeks in Europe. So that's been pushed back till 22, I believe. But we've got some dates in the summer that we're hoping, God willing, we will continue to do. We'll do those, some open air dates, and there's a few shows with Foreigner, a few shows with Judas Priest. So that would be amazing if we can get a little start this year. To promote the album properly.
Yeah, of course.
We need to get out there.
Yeah, and these songs really deserve to be heard live. Obviously, so you haven't been out yet, but do you know if you'll be putting in any of the Corabi era songs into the set list, or is this fresh start?
We actually, no, I mean, we will. There's songs that we want to do, and I want to hear what Glenn. I actually have heard Glenn kind of go through some stuff, and he said there was a song he said to me, I'm not sure how I would do this. I go, man, just be you, just do like. John is a very different. John's amazing. John's an amazing front man, an amazing singer, but he's John. Yeah. Glenn's a totally different animal. So I want to hear what Glenn's going to put on that stuff. Put a different swang on it, and a little different sauce.
Yeah.
But we had a rehearsal situation. The only thing we did this last year was October was we got together and played through the album, the new stuff, and which was a blast to play finally after months and months. And then we went through a couple of the older things as well, and Glenn sounded great. I mean, it's different, but it still sounds great. A tune is a tune, so either if it's a good tune, it'll stand up still, especially with Voice of Rock on it, you know?
Absolutely, man. Hey, let's talk about your time with Ronnie Dio, the late great, because I guess there was just they issued a double live album that came out, and you're featured on one of the concerts, Evil or Divine, live in New York City. I don't even know if you knew that was out, but it is out. And
I thought I've read that Holy Diver Live was out.
Yeah, so I guess they went out together, 2 separate concerts, 2 separate Dio lineups.
Yeah, the first one, live in New York, was at the Roseland Ballroom.
You have any memories of that show, or is it...
Yeah, I was nervous.
Why?
Just because, my first time being on I knew we were filming a DVD, and I just, I shouldn't have been. I just remember having a day off before that show. It was like the third to last show on of that tour for the year. It was in December. It was Friday the 13th, I think. And I remember being off in New York, and I'm walking around the streets getting a coffee, and I was just like, I gotta stand in my room the whole day and practice, to be ready for that.
Yeah.
Because Ronnie, he brought the best out of everybody, and he made me want to be better and better every day. So we were pretty tight by that point, but it was still a little nerve-wracking. And I remember us getting on stage, and the lighting that we had been doing the whole summer was kind of, dark and moody, and, it was like, just had that Dio vibe to it. But the lighting director had to light it up more for the cameras. So we walk on stage, and it's like, whoa. And so I could tell Ronnie was like, what the hell is this shit, man? But we did a good show, and it looked fine, so it is what it is. But that was with Jimmy Bain on bass, and we just had a blast on that whole tour. We started off supporting Deep Purple and Scorpions, and then we did our own tour then in Europe. Then we came back and did a tour. That tour was with King's X in the US.
Wow.
So that was 2002, I think it was.
It sounds absolutely killer. And dude, your guitar solo is just, it'll blow people's mind out.
The guitar solo is really a chance for people to go grab a beer, right? I mean, that's
not this one.
No, I don't know. The thing is that, Ronnie and David, people would go, how come there's so many guitar solos? Well, it's just these guys, they like that. They want, and Ronnie wanted to have a break. Ronnie gave 1,000% all the time. So it was nice for him to know that he had a little break with the drum solo and a little longer break with the guitar solo. And maybe there was even something else, but these guys want that as part of their show.
Yeah, of course.
So thank you. I appreciate it. It was fun. I tried to put something together that had some different movements to it. And the second DVD that I did with Ronnie was that Holy Diver Live. That's got Rudy Sarzo on bass. And that was a killer show. That was in London. And I remember Ronnie was such a cool guy. He could have had a car pick us up and take us to the thing. We're getting ready to film. We didn't do a sound check that day, but we're going to film this DVD. But his buddy wanted to drive us. His buddy wanted to do it. And so Ronnie and this guy are talking, and we're driving around London, and it's like, it's getting late. We're like, and the guy's like, actually, guys, I'm lost. I don't know where I'm going. And Ronnie didn't get upset. He was just like, come on, let's go. We get, call him. I don't even know if it was like in 2005. There wasn't like GPS yet.
No, not really.
So we finally found the place. It was the Estonia, it's gone now, but it was a great venue. So we get in there and we do the show. Ronnie was a little ill that day, but he sang his ass off. And Rudy was great, and Scott and Simon were great. Then we get done with our show, and we got people backstage, and we're talking, and then all of a sudden they kick us out, and it was because there was a discotheque coming in, so.
Yeah.
I was just thinking to myself, how these guys are kicking Ronnie James Dio out when it's like they should be celebrating him the whole night, you know. But
well, talking about singing, you know, with two Rock and Roll Hall of Famers, playing with two Rock and Roll Hall of Famers like Glenn Hughes, like David Coverdale, the biggest snub in our world by far is the fact that Ronnie Dio is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's a sin. It's embarrassing, actually.
I know.
In my mind, you've played with three Rock and Roll Hall of Fame singers.
My mind too.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't even know you if it wasn't for Ronnie. He put me out there. He believed in me, and I tried to do a good job for him. And you know, if it wasn't for him, David wouldn't have seen me play or whatever. And who knows? But I loved working with Ronnie. I had an opportunity to work with him in 1990, but I was still hoping that, or it was 89, I guess, still hoping that my first band I ever got to deal with would break out and make it. But, you know, so I told Ronnie, I jammed with him, and he goes, I want you to play. And I just said, look, I can't leave my guys. I mean, we were all living in the same apartment together as a band, and I just wanted to be loyal. But then we broke up a year later anyway. So when Ronnie asked me in 2001, 2001, same thing. We go to the pub, we're having a beer, and he just goes, thinking about asking you if you want to maybe play on a couple of tracks on the album. I said, no fucking way, man. I want to do the entire thing if I'm going to do it. And he's like, okay, start tomorrow. So that was it. I went in, Ronnie got down. He would sit every day on the side of the mixer and do crossword puzzles. And that's what he would do all day long during recording.
Oh, wow. Well, dude, you've had so many great mentors over the years, and, you know, we're friends, but I'm also a fan of yours, and I just see that.
I'm a fan of yours too, bro.
Thank you, man. Your playing just gets better and better, and certainly on this new album, it's you know, some of your best stuff for sure, man. I'm really psyched for you. I'm really psyched for the new Dead Daisies. I've heard it, luckily. You know, I get a little bit of advance on this stuff. I can't wait for other people to hear it, and it's out on January 22nd. So pick it up.
Well, we're super excited about it, and you know, we just got to get these numbers under control so that all of us can get back out. Because we haven't seen each other. You've seen your local friends, like you were telling me off air. You got to see your bros, and I've seen a few, but I mean, it's been awkward. Like 2020 just felt like it's come and gone. It was like it went by so fast, but yet every day felt like you're in slow motion. You know, like, when is this day going to be over? And then the next day comes, and it's like, oh my God, you know, yeah. I want to play, you know?
Yeah, this is the only way I get to see my musician friends until we can get you guys back touring. But when you do come around, I will bring a fine bottle of Beaujolais, and we'll pretend we're in the south of France, and everyone go out and pick up Holy Ground, the new Dead Daisies album. Doug, thanks so much, man. I appreciate your time, man.
Don, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thanks for what you do. And I was, you know, I've said this to Eddie as well. Like, what you guys do helps us keep, you know, get through times like the pandemic, you know, listening to you and watching you do your thing. And it really helps, you know, it's awesome. It really helps get through those rough days when you don't know what you're going to do, you know, but you guys make it happen. So thank you for doing that.
Well, that means a lot, man. So stay healthy out there, man, and hopefully see you soon, brother.
I can't wait to see you. All right, bro. Thank you so much.
Later.